get like the back thing coming through my speakers. But would you please turn the radio down in the background, sir? Oh, I just lost it. I love the cheap plywood sound of this guitar. It is classic. How are y'all doing? Hello, Jerry from South Africa. Hello, Take America Back. Andre 4000, using dog food for fertilizer? Yes. Yep, there's still things you could plant in 7B. I would plant winter wheat. Sometimes you can get away with Austrian peas. You could do kale. I think somebody mentioned kale a little further down here. You could probably still put in garlic at this point, too. Definitely. It's not as safe as Russia. Garden Heiress, Brett, Scott, Tim, Steeros. Hey, Love Cat. April. Jordana. Kyle. Austin, Texas. Derek. Mickle. Good to see y'all. Hey, Tina. So, I decided, you know, I've not done particularly well on video production lately, but there's no reason why we can't sit down and talk. Ahoy, scurvy dogs. My kids have been learning to play and sing sea shanties lately. It's crazy. My son plays the guitar, and one of my other sons plays the penny whistle or the recorder, and then they all sing. It's really fun. Hey, Adam, Sean, Kyle, Sherry, enjoy being, Mick. So, anyhow, I was looking at the garden today, and I realized this garden looks terrible. Oh, the peach trees that I planted in the front yard, the mulberries, the persimmon, the apples, the pears, things have got black spots on them. The leaves are falling off, looking yellow. I don't know about all this season stuff. I don't know about the seasons, man. I don't like it. You know, I think that if we could just if we could just stop at some day in early May, that'd be cool. But, oh well. I was looking at the garden today. I was like, well, the eggplants are putting out a few final eggplants. The okras are pretty much given up now. An okra here, an okra there. Nothing like it was a couple of months ago when it was really hot and there was lots of rain. The brassicas that we fall planted, most of them came up, and then some of them got chewed down again, and then some of them are suffering with these little bitty beetle things that are killing everything. It's really frustrating. But they were there last fall too, and once the first frost came, they disappeared completely. And then we had a fantastic spring and summer. So this is the time of year where I remind myself that there is another year coming up. That this is not the way things are going to stay. Stuff is just not happy now. I planted so many carrots. The carrots came up, they started to grow a little bit, and then they just started disappearing. Something ate them. I hate that. But the crazy thing is if I plant them again in the spring, say in February, March, they'll do just fine. And I'm thinking, maybe I'm just trying to force it here, growing the fall gardens. I was looking back at pictures from earlier in the year, a few months ago, and going, wow, this is so much nicer looking than it is now. Things are trying to fall asleep. Plus the pest levels have built up to an incredible amount over the course of the summer. Everything is trying to chew and eat and breed before the last of the year. It's like they're storing up to go hibernate or something. I bet Pete Canaris does know what those black beetles are. Pete Canaris, man, that guy. He's incredible. Thank you, Derek. Welcome to Derek Clausen, the new channel member, Derek Clausen. You've been around forever, Derek. But now you get your name in green. Derek Clausen. Well, what rhymes with Derek Clausen? Anybody, somebody throw me a line here. Derek Clausen. Rawson. Bosson. Tossin. Derek Clausen. Derek Clausen. He's the dude, he's the man, he's the guy, he's the Welcome aboard. That's it. That's dumb. I know. I'm sorry, Derek. Oh no, we gotta sing another one. Michael de Castle. Michael de Castle. Oh. It wasn't too much of a hassle for Michael de Castle to join up and become a member of this channel. I'm so glad you're here. I'd toast you with a beer, except I'm exceptionally low carb. Welcome aboard. The Castle's a fantastic name, by the way. Put your moss in. That's weird. He's so awesome. How did I miss that? Derek Clausen. He's so awesome. That's good. That's good. Awesome. He's boss and he's boss man. If you go down to the custom emojis, there's a little smiley face emoji down at the bottom, and it pulls up some weird stuff under the David the Good. There's YouTube emojis, and then there's David the Good emojis. You'll see them. All right. So yeah, you know, this time of year, I don't know. I get frustrated. You know, the other time of year I get frustrated? Middle of summer, when it's so hot I can't move. I think I told you guys before, there was a time I was out, I came in from working outside, and I was like, sorry, my internet has started getting glitchy here. No, Budgie. Come on. See Bart Simpson here. Anyhow. Hi, enjoy being. You joined too. Enjoy being. I hope that it's freeing to be here as a member of the David the Good channel. It's a little out. Your name in green. That's how you're being a member of the channel. Thank you. Member epidemic. That's right. It's an awesome demic. Bart Simpson. Alright, so I love cat, wow. No, they're there. All the special emojis are there. I could see them. I don't know, but so never catch him reeing, that's good. I gotta say, I am frustrated with the gardens right now. I'm frustrated with how many brassicas we planted and how chewed up they look. I planted into the patches in the grocery row gardens. And man alive, wouldn't you know those little beetles just showed up there too, or beetle fly things? They showed up all over the place. They showed up en masse and they chewed things up. Now they haven't chewed everything up, and I know that things will survive. But you put a lot of work in and you go, oh my gosh. And I think part of the problem here, I think that the part of the problem is simply how incredibly poor the soil is. Right? If you get sick and you already have comorbidities, as they say, you're much more likely to have a serious sickness or to die. Our gardens require regular inputs of compost, manure, Steve Solomon's mix, foliar, watering, compost tea, worm tea, etc., because the soil is so bad. The geology is, it's like a construction site dirt that gets scraped around and should be replaced. It's very, very bad. The problem with having very bad soil is that often the plants are not healthier enough. They aren't healthy enough to be able to ward off an injury, right? So let's say you are diabetic, 150 pounds overweight, on blood thinners, on 14 different prescriptions, and you step on a piece of glass. You could get an infection and die. You're probably much more likely to get an infection and die than somebody who is fit, somebody who is not on prescriptions, somebody that is taking very, very good care of their health and hasn't got all those side problems. If you live on McDonald's, you will not heal as well as if you live on, say, traditional Japanese food. Or if you were eating lots of nuts and soaked grains and berries and yogurt compared to living on Hardee's biscuits, right? It affects what you have, because your body does not have what it needs to ward off the infections and to heal quickly. There are deficiencies that are taking place. You could be morbidly obese and deficient in all kinds of things. You look like you're having overabundance, but really you're starving to death. You're not that healthy. It's right, suburban Ute. Wow, I tune in and the very first thing I hear is you could get an infection and die. If you're really, really sick and you step on a pointy stick and it gets into your foot and bacteria jump in, provided you believe in germ theory, you better watch out. Yeah. So what I think part of the problem is with the fall gardens is that the soil is so bad and acid and miserable and unbalanced, but as we're working on it, it's not to where it needs to be yet. Pardon me. It's not to where it needs to be yet. And so it's the plants that are growing on it are more susceptible to pest issues. The leaching that happens in that fast draining sand is unbelievable. Like, we will get a week of no rain followed by 6 inches of rain. washing, cutting ruts, and it comes down in a couple of hours. It's just like, oh my gosh, man. It's terrible. I do a lot of reading. Yeah, it's leached from summer rains. Exactly, Alan. It's leached and leached and leached. I mean, there's a good song right there. On the ground is so poor. It makes gardening a pain, leached by summer rains. So, you know, almost everything that I've sown, in the brassicas at least, has been chewed to bits. The grains that I've sown, cover crop stuff, they did perfectly fine last year. They didn't even care. They just grew right through it. Yes, limestone will remove acidity, but we have added limestone, and you've got to keep adding it. You've got to keep adding it and adding it, adding it. It leaches out. Things just... Bad geology. So, of course, some of the experiments that I've been doing, like the biochar and putting clay in the ground, doing cover crops and mixing them into the ground along with more clay and more biochar, these things help. And after a very successful year of gardening, it's petering out at the end of the year now. The pest loads have gone up. The fertility of the soil has dropped, I'm sure, because of how much we harvested. We harvested hundreds of pounds. Hundreds. I lost track. We should have kept better track. You know, I like to weigh everything and do it. I have no idea anymore. Because we kept harvesting in the garden and eating out of the garden and be like, hey, we need something for dinner. And then we would go and, you know, get it. It's pretty crazy, the sheer amount of stuff that we pulled in. But, and we're not done yet. I pulled some sweet potatoes the other day, pulled maybe 5 or 10 pounds of sweet potatoes as a test. There are some pretty good looking sweet potatoes, but that sucks a lot of fertility out of the ground too. And we had a lot of rain in the last few months. We had a ton of rain, just rain. You know, rain for 5 days in a row and 12 inches or more over that time period. The stuff that's in the ground, it's just dripping right through. It's going right through. You know, even the weeds here don't look healthy. They're patchy. The grasses are patchy. The weeds are patchy. You get acid-loving stuff like brambly vines, and you'll get pokeweed. But you don't get great growth on most things. So, looking at it at the end of the year now, I've hit this point where it's like, well, I could throw down lots more purchased amendments, or I could just call it a year. I think I'm about ready to call it a year and just keep throwing around cover crops so the freezes can come, can kill off the bugs. The cover crops are there to slash down and till under or whatever in the spring, and I could spend the summer making, or the winter making biochar, you know. Lots and lots of biochar. I have not identified the beetle cricket things. Buck says, buck, 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 buck. Okay, that's pretty good. Sorry, my chickens say that too. Buck says, is Terra Preta more than just biochar? Yeah, Terra Preta was biochar mixed with pottery shards, and it seemed like the remains of a lot of meals and maybe some other things. They're not exactly sure where it came from, but it maintains its fertility, and it has a lot of seems to have a lot of organic matter in it. Yeah, the Jeff Lawton's Greening the Desert stuff is amazing. Totally amazing. That's cool, Drew. Drew's been using biochar around trees and plants. I think it helps. I don't think it's a cure-all though. I am still experimenting, but I would like to see better results. right now my perennials look really good, but the annuals keep getting chewed to bits by stuff. It seems like we may have a better setup for perennials in general, particularly things that don't mind some acidity. Of course, blueberries do very well, the blackberries do very well, muscadine grapes do quite well. The peaches and apples and plums and things I planted out look like they're doing pretty well. The cassava is doing amazing. The cassava is gigantic. We're going to get some roots out of it, I think. The chaya was doing pretty well until about a month ago, and then all the leaves started to get white because they're being chewed by something. Groksake says, I love the challenge that you have there with your soil, but what would it take to add an inch of compost per year? It would take a lot of work. It's very difficult to get enough compost for a garden that is a quarter acre. Really, it's rough. I have been sifting out the compost that the chickens make and putting it in as we put in new stuff, but that has not stopped the pest issues this fall. You know, I would think this ground would be really rich and happy with all that in there, but it's not doing great. So, I don't know. Perennials are doing well, but it's also the time of year when stuff just sort of gives up, drops off. So, Hendrik says one thing that is working is collecting all the biomass I can find. Yeah. Trying to go back to where you started writing about your project. You made me work on desert soil in 4 months. I did have my first bell pepper stolen. Oh no. So it can't be done. KY Cat Rescue says, when did your CD get released? I don't know. I have to probably do it, but I've got like 3 more books I want to write too. I do have a garden album planned, but I haven't finished it. I should just take all the songs that I have and jam them together into an album and call it done. But I'm kind of a perfectionist. Like, I want it to really be good. Yeah, maybe something about the magnetic nature of the pottery too. Burning it is supposed to have a difference. Hey, not my fault. In San Diego. All right. Scott says, get tree services to dump wood chips, then wait. I do have a lead. A friend of mine said that she may be able to get us some wood chips soon, so we'll see. I don't like deep mulch gardening, though, very much, particularly not in the deep south. The pest issue levels are just insane. The amount of stuff that ends up living in the mulch, it will just rip your annual gardens to shreds. It's difficult. Now, if I composted it through the chicken yard first, and then took the resulting compost and mixed it into the beds, that would probably do pretty well. Yeah, I gotta throw a bunch more Steve Solomon's mix, but it gets expensive. It's so frustrating. I threw it around all of the beds that I planted, all of the brassicas. I put a lot of work into getting these brassicas to grow this fall, and it has just been a disaster. We're going to get some stuff, but the area with rutabagas, I planted it twice. The area with Brussels sprouts, I planted it twice. The area with carrots, I planted it once, and there were rows of carrots growing, and then they've just disappeared. Just disappeared. I've got gaps everywhere. It's ridiculous. Like whole areas that we planted that are all full of gaps now where things have just eaten them and don't even know. Don't even know. Oh yeah, if you guys look up the David the Good Tunes channel, I put a lot of stuff up there. Just look up David the Good Tunes and go subscribe over there. Search it out on YouTube. The YouTube. Drew says, has anyone used a home biogas biodigester to turn home waste into cooking fuel and garden fertilizer? No, I saw one at Echo in Fort Myers, Florida. Really cool. I also saw a system in Indonesia where they had they had the toilet septic system, and out of the septic they had a gas valve, and it was fermenting and bubbling, making methane out of there, and then they used that to cook with, which was pretty crazy. They could run a burner on it all the time. Maybe a rabbit. It's possible. Hey Brian, good to see you, man. If you guys are not subscribed to Flannel Farms, please do so. That is my brother Brian. He is building a homestead in Virginia, and he's moderately entertaining. Brian's hilarious. Jesus says, I planted carrots twice. I have maybe 8. And I planted beets twice. Saw 2 sprout and then nothing. Weird. Yeah, that's just problems. Brussels sprouts are a pain in the neck to grow. My turnips are doing the best, like usual. But make microclimates. Look at, I'm telling you, if it's hard for me to grow stuff, it's just really hard to grow stuff. That's funny. Kelly. Feel that on and always seem to go. You don't know what you got till it's gone. They mulched up my yard and dumped it on the neighbor's lawn. Yeah, Brussels sprouts grow easy enough, but you need the cool temps. That's usually a problem. It goes from being too cold to too hot, particularly in the south. So let's answer garden questions. Travis says, what will you do with the kids when your new goats are bred? I will keep the little girl kids, the little nanny kids, 'cause they'll bring us lots of milk. I will eat the little boy kids. I will eat them with prejudice. I will execute them in the backyard and skin them and cut them into pieces and make them into stew. That's just what you do before the bugs get to be a pain in the neck. They're so stinky and awful. That's why they invented curry, 'cause bugs are a pain in the neck. And if I get too many goats, I will probably give some away or sell them. Florence says, David, I can't get my spinach going. Can you tell me how to do it to get some? You know, I've usually just sprinkled spinach seeds on top of good soil. You don't plant them too deep and water it in well. They don't like it when it's warm out, and they don't like it when it freezes all the way either. But if you have a fertile area, even if you take a pot and put some potting soil in it, sprinkle some spinach seeds on top. Don't plant them too deep. We're talking real shallow. And keep them watered in the sun. They'll do fine. Do I throw meat bones in the compost? Yes, absolutely. Anything organic basically goes into the compost pile. No problem. I want that fertility in the soil. Lately, I have been often throwing the bones out into the chicken yard and letting them pick what's left off of them. But they end up in the compost. Basically, the entire floor of my chicken coop is now a compost pile. But in the regular compost bin, yes, absolutely. I always throw meat in it. Fish, meat, eggs, cake. It doesn't matter. It rots down. Nature has a way of taking care of it. Is there a botanical caffeine source that grows in zone 5B/6? You might be able to push the Yaupon holly to grow that far north in a sheltered location. Yaupon holly is a natural caffeine source. There may be another holly as well that could be caffeinated. Somebody told me that I think it's Ilex glabra is also caffeinated, but I haven't tried that or done much. I have not used parasitic wasps on purpose. Like, I haven't bought them or anything, but they exist in my yard. Terraprenid plot is not doing right now. It's covered, not doing much. I had planted some carrots on it. That got eaten by the bugs like everything else. Hey, Zeus. That's funny. Hey, Zeus says, what do you do when your husband says we can plant garlic now when you already did? Plant more, just tell him. Oh, I planted it already. I knew you were going to say that. I don't know. I just could tell. I have not had success air layering avocado. I've not tried it. I don't think avocado propagates well that way. They do graft pretty easily, though. So if you start as, start seedlings. You name them Bucky and dress up in the straw hats. Chilean guava. I have not grown them. I don't know the Chilean guava. I think that they had that growing down in the Caribbean, but I did not get to try them. Compost everything, that's right. RC, if you want to email me, my email is david@floridafoodforests.com. Jeremy says, I've got egg-laying hens already. Thinking about trying quail for eggs and meat. Any thoughts or experience? My brother, Flannel Farms, Brian, he had quail for a while. A friend of mine is setting up a quail pen right now. They're too small for me, so I haven't bothered with them. Carter Shaft says a great way to get protein for your chickens is a black soldier fly bin. Yes, that's true. Though my friend John Moody, who wrote the book Winning the War on Weeds, which is the book I've been promoting all week, Winning the War on Weeds, there's a link below this video, he said that if you feed them a lot of black soldier flies, the eggs actually taste weird. He says you gotta watch it. Black soldier flies will make the eggs taste weird. And he's the first person I've heard say that. What I discovered is that if we just take some, like, corn that started to get a little rotten or wet, or some old chicken feed that's been sitting around, or old like watermelon rinds and that kind of stuff, and we put it in a bucket somewhere and wet it down and just leave it out in the side yard, the soldier flies will come and lay eggs in it, and the next thing you know, the entire thing is just crawling with soldier fly grubs. And then I go and I throw the entire bucket to the chickens. And I've discovered that, so I'm going to probably start doing that on purpose, just putting some bins around the chicken run and putting rotten stuff in them for the soldier flies to eat. And then just dump it after a week or so. Drew says, I harvested a year's worth of lemongrass. Any ideas what to use it all on or in? It makes a really good fire starter if it's dry. But you might be able to sell it. If there's any Asian market or something nearby, there's often a demand for it. Let me see. Giordano says, what's the most effective way to control leaf miners on citrus trees? I have not found an effective way. I read on it and did some reading, and basically it seems like the consensus is you can't really stop them. So you basically, it is what it is. You have to like spray weekly or something and hope that you're going to get them, because if leaf miners are in the leaf, even if you spray the leaf, it doesn't get it. It's hiding inside the leaf. It's protected inside the leaf. So it's just the nature of citrus. Mine always have little runs running through them. Yes, Yaupon holly. That's Ilex vomitoria. I think it's called Ilex vomitoria because there was a conspiracy to misname it, because it is as good as English tea. It is a very good tea. It's a nice earthy green tea flavor. Very good native plant, and it was completely overlooked and denigrated and given a rotten Latin name, and I think that was on purpose, honestly. I think there was money involved. But you don't eat the berries, but you cut up the leaves and you make tea out of them. Adam says, I got some Seminole pumpkins from Daisy's Etsy store. Is it too late to plant in South Florida? And my oldest boy turned 17 yesterday. Wow. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, young Cadovius. Well, if you're all the way down in South Florida, if it does not freeze, you could plant them right on through. They'll do fine. They won't mind the cool weather. The bugs won't be too bad. You just have to keep them watered. And they will probably grow for you and start fruiting sometime February, March, April, and then die out. The leaves contain the caffeine. And Yaupon holly. That's right. Derek, you just got meat rabbits. I hope that works out for you. We had them for a while. They were trouble. Too much work. We had a lot of issues, but oh boy. I think we just jumped into it. We bought a guy's entire rabbit operation and it ended up being too much for us to manage. Coley said, I think cockroaches are leaving compost bins and heading towards the house porch. Should I use diatomaceous earth? I don't know. I don't know if that'll stop cockroaches. There's not a lot that'll stop cockroaches. A flamethrower is good. But I usually put the compost bin a little ways from the house. But they are, you know, they are what they are. When we turn the compost piles and the roaches run out, the lizards would run out of the bushes and eat it. No, you cannot ripen green Seminole pumpkins in the house. They just never taste right. I mean, you can cut them and bring them in, but they are going to taste bland and watery. They just never have the right flavor. I've tried it. I did see that Captain Kirk went into space. Again, because, I mean, he was in space for at least the 5-year mission, and then after that he became an admiral, etc. But he got to go into space again, which was cool. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. See if there's any flavor difference, because John was the first one I'd heard that from on the Black Soldier Fly. Chili flakes make the yolks nice and deep orange. That's interesting. I have lots of peppers I can feed him. Yep, this is my Kanapaha shirt. I did a plant show there a couple of times. I do not have tips for growing carrots in a grow bag in particular, but as long as you've got nice, loose, deep soil, you surface, sprinkle the carrots, and just barely press them in and keep them watered until they come up. They should do just fine. They like loose, somewhat rich soil, but not too much nitrogen. Amy says, I love the anaerobic weed-based fertilizer. Okay, good, Tim. 10B, Southwest Florida. He's growing Seminole pumpkins, Adam. I got rutabagas. I planted rutabagas twice. They are doing terrible. Terrible. The germination rate was horrible. And I don't know why. I mean, there's massive gaps. I would not bother espaliering grapevines. I'd just run them on lines. I mean, you could, but you have to cut a lot. Thanks, Rip. I appreciate it. I think homesteading will be important. Rabbit droppings are excellent fertilizer. Why did I settle in Alabama? I settled in Alabama because I had to move back to the States. Couldn't find a place in Florida. The place I was looking at ended up being a wreck. And I was like, wow, I don't have a place to go. And then I was offered this house here by a friend of a friend. He said, well, this house is just open if you want to rent it. And he said, it's got 30 acres. I was like, 30 acres? And the rent was like nothing, like really low. So I said, all right, I guess I'll go to Bama. But I liked Bama, man. I open carried a handgun for like 2 weeks around the state when I was checking it out. It's like just totally normal. I'm like, dude, it's kind of awesome in Alabama. I think the main hobby here is deer hunting. And there's deer corn in every grocery store. There's like deer hunting accessories in everywhere. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it. It's pickup trucks, It's pickup trucks. It's the old South. It's you know, it's my kind of place. I like it. I like I like the fact that some of the families here just go back hundreds of years, and people are friendly with each other, um, and pretty savvy. They're pretty savvy people, but they're not. Uh, I don't know, like fast-paced Yankees. Trying to get stuff done takes some time, but hey, I was in the Caribbean before, so I understand it. It's not bad. Yeah, the rabbits were way too much work. Sandra, we had problems with rabbits getting sick. We had snakes get in. We had like baby rabbits die from different problems. We had to take care of them daily. We had problems with the cages not getting all the way clean properly. It was just like, oh my gosh, man. We just had problem after problem after problem. I mean, yeah, you can get a lot of pounds of protein out of it, but I find the chickens to be a lot easier. At least right now. I did not have luck, and maybe it's just where I was in Florida. Let's see. I should get a deer. The pumpkins did well. Yeah, they did really well. There's even a deer in my hat, you're right. A deer would be fun. Roll Tide! That's right, they're friendly as I saw the magnum on my hip. Kyle says, I moved into my new home with almost 3 acres and loads of stone fruit and other trees. The problem the problem is there have been complaints about the crazy amount of weeds and giant mulch piles. Well, yeah, when you got to deal with people, you got to deal with people. I would probably get out there with my kids and try to make it as nice as possible, but I would also probably put up a privacy fence. If you put up a fence, it's not their problem anymore. You know, you can't see it. But if it's too big to put a fence up, I would plant a big hedge of silverthorn. I would plant silverthorn along the edge of my property. Nobody will see it again. You can leave all the mulch piles out. Doesn't matter. But otherwise, you could clean it up if you care. You know, as the cool months approach, it's really, you know, it's nice. I used to mow my food forest, the front strip of it, and I would mow pathways through it so it looked like it had some order to it. It didn't look like an abandoned house. And that was good. But if you can plant a silverthorn hedge, I think that hiding what you're doing from the neighbors is probably a good idea if people are bugging you. Andy says, I asked a question a couple streams ago about how to grow food in a small area. I've now been peeing in a water can and diluting it with water to water my garden. My friends now think I'm even weirder. You told them? There's a movie called The Big Short, which is about the housing boom and the mortgage crisis, and how it was predicted by a handful of people that shorted the market while everybody was saying, housing goes up forever, it'll be fine. And there's a character in that movie, there's a couple of guys visiting with him, and he was basically a former brilliant Wall Street trader who has decided to go off the grid because he thinks that the government's watching everybody, and you know, he's a conspiracy type guy, and these two young traders are trying to get him to do a favor for them, and they go and visit him, and they're eating these salads, and they're like, this is really good, and he's like, it's all homegrown. It's all homegrown. The thing is, he says, really, you can grow anything. The secret is just wood ashes and urine. And both of them are eating the salad, and they go, oh my gosh. Carolyn says we have too many people moving to Florida. They're escaping their horrible state and crowding into Florida. I keep telling people Florida is full, but they don't listen. I know. It's too much. I think there should be a rule that people are not allowed to vote for like 40 years after they move states. That would make a big difference. Okay, you know. Or the state should just put walls up. I carried a Sig Sauer 9mm. Little gun. Lately, I have a wheel gun. I love wheel guns. David says, I hear that salt brine for wild game does wonders for cooking it. Hey, Tom, how you doing, man? Tom Sensible is here. Tom Sensible is illustrating a new book for me, and his illustrations are absolutely hilarious. He is a brilliant illustrator, and he has a fantastic sense of humor, and it meshes really well with my writing. When I discovered how good of an artist he was, I asked him if he would be interested in illustrating my new book. So my new book on South Florida gardening, he is going to be illustrating it. Do I miss living in the tropics? Yes. I do miss the tropical climate sometimes. I really miss having the great soil. I miss some things like going down the road and hearing reggae music playing and stopping and getting some coconuts and drinking coconut water and going to a perfect tropical beach and going swimming. I miss some of those things. But I also miss being around Americans at the same time, so... And it's not really that much fun down there. They are very, very scared of the virus, and the governments have gotten really controlling, and you'd think it would be really laid back, but it was not laid back. It got pretty intense. So I do miss some things about it. I love the climate. Do I recommend planting hairy vetch as a cover crop? I planted a little of it before. It was very easy to grow. I would do it. Why not? Yeah. I mean, if you got it, plant it. I didn't plant that much, though. Tim says, I need to scale down the number of beehives I manage so I can focus on other things. It's non-stop down here. Trying to manage the garden is the least of the problems. Time versus money. Yeah, I understand that. I like the 357 round a lot. Well, wheel gun is just a synonym. Got a wheel in it, you know what I mean? Hey, Steve. Thank you for the super chat. Back from Nicaragua. Awesome! Headed to the post office tomorrow. Sounds good. Thank you very much. Conserve energy by using already established words. Yeah, you imagine a gun channel. No, that's not a good idea. Try to keep that stuff off. Yeah. Kat says I live in the Caribbean, and I tell you I don't like it here. Janelle says I have a 3-foot pear tree that has only one branch at the very bottom. Should I be brave and chop it to help it grow? Wait a minute. It's only 3 foot tall. It's got one branch at the very bottom. Well, if you want to make it grow, I wouldn't chop it right now. I would wait until just before it wakes up, late winter, early spring, before the thing is budding, and cut it back. It'll increase the vigor. You won't even believe how that thing gets bigger. Probably double in size within a couple of months, and you'll be like, I can't believe that I waited to do this thing. And if it dies, who cares? 'Cause it's only 3 foot tall. And you'll be like, oh, that pear tree is growing so fast. I wish I could prune my wallet and double my cash. Ooh, that pear tree is growing, oh, it's growing so fast. I wish I could put the pruners on my wallet and double my cash, but I can't. Yeah, I'd prune it. If it's being a wimp, prune it. I would prune it right before it wakes up. Play that song about being worried. I could play it. The Milton gig is this weekend. It is Sunday afternoon. A gun mounted on your wheel, that's right. Gatling gun. Generally, the tropic life was pretty peaceful, yeah. That's true. You don't want to spread out too much, hobby woodworker. I don't know that much. It's just one of the things, you know. I could do a writing channel. I've written something like 16 books now. Sitting here worried in the backseat of a car. I'm worrying about the driver and hoping he's not going far. Cause I don't have a seatbelt, don't want to get thrown out of the windshield of the car. So I'm sitting and I'm worried in the backseat of a car. That could get stuck in my throat. And I'm worried about the fishing licenses of the other fishermen fishing in our boat. If a bone got stuck in my throat and I choked, would the police throw me down on the ground as I choked and 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 I choked? This world is a terrifying place. So I try, yes I try, yes I try, yes I try to wear a smile on my face. This world is a terrifying place. So I try, yes I try, yes I try, yes I try to wear a smile on my face. I'm worried about the check that I put in the letter in the box where they get the mail. Will the furniture company get it in time? And if not, will I go to jail? Will they come and take the dresser and the bed and the chair? Will they come and take me too? Cause I don't wanna go there. So I'm worried about the check in the letter that I put in the box where they get the mail. This world try, yes I try, yes I try, yes I try to keep a smile on my face. This world is a terrifying place. So I try, yes I try, yes I try, yes I try to keep a smile on my face. But I'm worried about the driver of the car. Yes, I'm worried about the driver of the car. Yes, I'm worried about the driver of the car. That's a new song. I hope to have the music video recorded soon. I hear someone say a hamster song. Darren says that video inspired me today. Talking to my wife. Where did I Just your comment just jumped off the screen. Talking to the wife about getting a goat. Would love the milk and manure. It's some work, and if you don't have enough space, it doesn't work out very well. But if you have space, yeah. The song is called I Keep a Smile on My Face. That's what I named it. I did not know they have a 1.5 million acre project here in Egypt. That is incredible. Wow. Hey, Kenny. Nice to see you. Welcome. That's true, Carolyn. You never know. Make a crash course on writing. We'll see. I tried using neem oil, and it was not effective at all on this particular insect problem. Charity says, making biscuits, my new favorite jam. Actually, jam is good with biscuits. Sandra says, the more amazing thing about you and your wife are the 9 kids, homeschooling, and still having a sense of humor. Of course you have a sense of humor. You have to if you have 9 kids. It's insane. We just laugh all day. This is crazy. What are we doing? This is insane. Oh my gosh, man. Don't play my kids at Monopoly. They're dangerous. Don't play them at Uno either. It's so much fun. I mean, if YouTube wasn't such a crazy, weird venue, if the world wasn't so weird, I would love to just show my kids off all the time and all the crazy, fun stuff that they do. But I just try to keep them more private. They've been showing up in my videos way more than they did in the past, just because we've been doing so many family projects, and it's kind of like, well, just run the camera, you know. But we have a lot of fun. It is great. Each one of the kids that the Lord has given us, I have been so thankful for. They are all different. They have their own personalities. They have their own interests. Earlier today, while I was working in here, I could hear this ringing, banging sound outside, and it was my second oldest son hammering out a project on the forge and anvil. He's learning how to blacksmith. Unbelievable. A friend of ours sent him an anvil in a small forge. So he's out there burning wood charcoal and hammering out steel, making tools. Really cool. I could hear my oldest son playing the guitar. My daughter has her little seed business. One of my other sons has been doing some landscaping work. He planted a pumpkin patch for a friend of ours because they wanted a pumpkin patch for their Halloween. So he planted a pumpkin patch sometime in June, July, and he's been taking care of it. Now, it's not the most beautiful looking pumpkin patch in the world because that is a hard time of year to keep stuff alive through the heat of an Alabama summer. But he did pretty darn good, and there are pumpkins on those vines right now. So, you know, and then my younger kids, it's really funny. My little daughter, she's not quite 2 yet. She came in, she wanted to see me earlier today. She was kind of irritated about something. The kids weren't playing with her enough or something. So she wanted to come see me. So she jumped into my office, and I scooped her up on my lap, and I edited the video today. And she's like, see the goats? See the goats? And the goats were in the video, you know. So she was watching that, and then we ended up like watching videos of baby goats on YouTube. And she's like, see, goats, goats, goats. And she's just laughing. I'm like, we could just watch funny baby goat videos all day, but Daddy's got to do some work, okay? Where is my mind? Oh, that's a good song, Jury. Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Oh, yeah. Let me see. Thank you, Gersh. When do you recommend swales and when not? Tierra says. Love from Uruguay. Well, I would recommend swales if you have a bit of a slope. Uh, we basically dug drainage type swales when we were in the Caribbean to keep stuff under control. We put a big drainage channel through our land because the problem was often too much water in the rainy season. Like the whole area had problems with flooding. So we ended up digging big channels, deep, wide channels, like 5 foot wide, 3 foot deep. You know, there was a big drainage ditch running through my backyard, and we had to dig a bunch of small ones here and there across our land because the water will find its own way and it'll start rutting out the ground and tearing it up. And you really, really don't want that. But if you have lower rainfall, it often makes sense to do swales on contour if you have some slope, so you can catch and hold onto the water. I would dig swales if I needed it for drainage or if I had too little water to catch and hold water as much as possible, particularly for perennial systems. But I would not bother with swales on flat land. I mean, like permaculture people are always saying things like, oh, why don't you do swales? I'm like, well, the ground is flat, man. I mean, it doesn't really work that well. I do some raised beds, and I have had issues, you know, like there is an area where I dug out beds on diagonals because there was some slope. But generally, a lot of my gardening was done in Florida. When I was in Florida, it's like, the ground is totally flat everywhere, so it didn't make any sense. Plus, we had really, really good drainage. Yes, you could throw a dead rat in your compost bin, so long as it wasn't a poisoned rat. I wouldn't put a poisoned one in there. DCT says David Good for president. Yeah, man, I would not want to be president with all those insane people around me and backstabbers, and I don't think the president really has that much power. I think that the people with real power are the people that tell the president what to do. I would not want to be, you know, an Obama or a Bush or a Biden or a Trump or any. I wouldn't want to be a president. I mean, I would try to govern using godly principles as best as I understand. You know, they're the 10 Commandments, right? Love your neighbor, and take care of the borders and that sort of thing. But I think I would probably be killed, and I just really don't want that stress. I don't know that you could get a good leader now. I don't even know if it's possible. It's scary. When does child number 10 due? $10 super chat. Thank you. Child number 10 is due in mid-December. Mid-December. Rachel visited her midwife today, and the baby is doing great. We don't know if the baby's a boy or a girl. It's a surprise baby. We'll find out. Kind of fun. Sandra says, sitting at her campfire, leaves falling over as black walnut trees mostly losing leaves at this point. That sounds beautiful, Sandra. Love it. My kids set up a little fire pit in the backyard. It's fun. Okay, hobby woodworker. So if it's just a regular blood thinner that you poison the rat with, you can throw it in. Weird. No, I'm not a Mormon. I'm a Christian. I hold to the Westminster Confession of Faith. I believe that God was serious when He said children are a blessing. So when my wife and I got married, I just said, Lord, send us whatever blessings you want. We just trust that you'll take care of them. Somebody's got to do it. I mean, what? I mean, the replacement rate is like 2 point something, and so many people are below the replacement rate. I said, I'm going to make up for the entire decline of Western civilization myself, by golly. So, we have 6 boys, 3 girls so far. Yep. I think most everything is already written. A Picard Riker ticket for President and Vice. I just facepalm Picard every time Congress starts talking. Yes, that's hilarious. Oh yeah, we sleep well. The trick is to teach the children how to go to bed when they're young. You know, it's fun. Anyhow, guys, you have a wonderful evening. Thank you for the couple of super chats, and thank you guys for the for joining. We have 3 new members tonight. I appreciate it. Um, that's really sad, Pamela. I miss having kids in the house. No grandkids for us. Kids won't have it. That is really sad. I'm really looking forward to having grandkids. I pray that all of my kids get married and have kids themselves. One of my kids said, I think it was like 2 days ago, he said, Dad, wouldn't it be amazing if each one of us kids also had 10 kids? I was like, can you imagine? I'm like, 100 grandkids. I'd be like, my people. You know, we just have to make sure we don't move to Egypt or something. No offense, Hendrik. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it. I like that. I like your profile picture with like that straight up gangster stare. It's Charlie B. It's good. I always wish I didn't have like dorky pictures of me smiling. I feel like I should have like black and white photos where I'm biting a cigar or something, but well, you have a yeah boy, Charlie says, yeah. Good work. 8 grandkids. I think my mom is now on her 28th grandchild. She had 7 kids. I'm the oldest of 7. And 2 of my sisters are not married yet. Ha ha. It's pretty awesome. Anyhow, God bless you all. I'll catch you soon. My wife apparently cooked me a steak, and I need to go eat it. So I'll catch you very soon, hopefully. I'm going to try and do these streams more often. God bless. Have a good night. Until next time, may your thumbs always be green. Oh, and be sure to check out John Moody's book, Winning the War on Weeds. We need that book boosted. We need to get John Moody in the rankings. So thank you all. It's a good book, anyways. But there will be a link. There's a link in the description. Catch y'all later. Until then, green thumbs.